Hello, everybody. How's it going today? This is not my normal Sunday show. This is not my normal Sunday crew that I'm doing live on my channel, but it's actually Comic Talk Live, where
Hey,
it's like Saturday Night Live, but with comics and funny.
and a lot less funny.
I would say that we're funnier.
Ooh.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
We
Yeah.
have,
There's
we have strokes of geniuses, but they're
Yeah, we
very
do.
minimal.
Yeah. And we're missing, of course, because Shawn and Will are normally the host of the show. So it kind of feels weird for me being host of the show. I don't know if I'll be as good as they normally are. And as you were last week, it was last week, right? Whew.
2 weeks. 2
2
weeks
weeks.
ago. No, they were back on Will's last week. 2 weeks
Mhm.
ago when Will and Shawn were here in Columbus visiting me for the Arnold. Ryan hosted.
Awesome.
The honor.
Our poor
The,
audience. How can
yeah.
anybody even follow us anywhere? Like, who knows where this show's going to be?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, apparently people do this all the time. Switch where the show goes. So
Yep.
We're going to end up on Corncob TV.
Corncob TV. Call your local provider and tell them you want to watch shows like people falling out of coffins.
That might also be my favorite one. I know we were
Okay.
talking about that off screen, but that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone needs to watch. I think you should leave. But we've got
too.
comics to talk about. I'm going to go ahead and say hello to a couple people in the chat because there are some people here. Shattered Glass said hello before the show, and their show is actually live right now. So you can maybe switch between us. Do people still do that? Like
Or just
commercial
go.
breaks? Or
Just
just yeah.
We think you should leave.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah.
Hello to our friend Travis.
Travis.
And then Sam, hello. How's it going? And then one of my personal favorite people, Sheena, a goddess among us mere mortals.
True.
John, Big Daddy Ross, hello everybody. Bruce Later. Brandon Conkle, wow.
What's up, Brandon? He was hanging out
Hello.
on. No, what show was that on? Oh, Wednesday night. I was on Comic Kings. He was over there.
I want to
Bueller.
say a quick shout out to Bueller because I ended up getting this book because of him, Chicken Devil. So we're going to be talking about this one.
I'm glad you listened to him because Ryan and I both were getting it. No, Ryan didn't get it actually.
I didn't know what it was. It wasn't on my radar, and then I saw we're talking about it, so I read it. So thank you, Bueller, because I read it too, and I liked it. So, spoilers.
Okay, good.
I know we're gonna get into that one later, but I like it.
Rogue Trader, what's up, buddy?
Also, Jen, you scared me. I thought it was Sunday today.
No.
Talking about your Sunday show, and I'm like, what the hell day is
No,
it?
because I feel like
Dang
most
it.
people would be there on the Sunday show, and this is way different. So we have some books to talk about. I think that you had mentioned backstage Batman. That is a book that I am not on. Batman 114 came out this week. Do you folks want to talk about that?
Sure, we can. So
Sure.
we've been talking Batman detective a lot. We've been kind of switching off of which one we do, detective or Batman. And I feel like Ryan and I have stuck with detective mostly because we feel like it's a stronger Batman ongoing series at the time. And I still stand by that statement of this. Fear State, it kind of opens up of the big premise of this one is the Peacekeeper one is the one that was the guard from Arkham that kind of helped save stuff during A-Day stuff back when the Joker War stuff happened. And Simon Saint is taking him to become the Peacemaker. Well, Scarecrow's basically has hijacked him and is making him go insane. And so Saint now has another Peacekeeper that he has to try and have fight him to try and defend it, and Batman. So it's like a threesome fight right there.
Ooh.
And that's what the entire fight is. I mean, the entire book is these three just fighting each other. And remember, gang, this is a spoiler show.
Ooh, I should probably
Spoilers.
put that. There are going to be some spoilers here.
We will talk spoilers here. And so the big thing is that basically Peacekeeper X, the new Peacekeeper who's trying to maintain the old Peacekeeper, has some like really dope technology, but he tries to blast the old Peacekeeper with a neon electric blast, and the other Peacekeeper basically shoves a sword through the cannon blaster and blasts and basically the guy's arm blasts off, and it's kind of buck wild, and half the one dude's face is ripped off. So like it's just all it is a fight. I mean, that's what this entire issue is. And
That's
it felt
why I don't
like
remember it. Okay.
there wasn't much to it. There was, Simon Saint, who is kind of the one taking over and is trying to deal with running the Peacekeeper Corps here in Gotham. And so like you see him kind of scrambling as like things are going awry. And you see Scarecrow talking into the original Peacekeeper's mind to like, hey, try and throw him off. It was a fine issue. But the problem with the Batman books right now are it's fine. And I feel like there's nothing to it. And if you're going to make it an event story, it needs to have more gravitas to it. Like it has to have more weight to it. There has to. And I think what I finally realized with the Batman books is they should never do Batman event stories.
Like an event, like an overarching? Or
yeah, they should never do event of like and make it like big event stuff, because if you're doing an event story in Batman, it's the same thing, right? Tom King had City of Bane. Bane took over Gotham. James Tynion. Joker took over Gotham. James Tynion. Scarecrow's taking over Gotham. Like, it's the same premise of because every Batman event is confined to Gotham, it feels like the same event being told over and over again with just a different villain. Where I at least feel like War of the Realms in Marvel or Absolute Carnage or if there's even I'm trying to think of other events in DC, but it just feels like at least you get a different platform that you can play, a different playground that you can play in, but it's always Gotham and it's always someone taking over Gotham. And it just feels like they need to just do storylines like Hush, which was a great storyline in a Batman series. And that's what they need to focus in on and stop doing these tie-ins and stop doing these events because it's so it's the same thing. It's just rehashed of a different. Even Scott Snyder, which a lot of people love Scott Snyder's run. What was it? 0 Hour or 0 Year was a Riddler. Riddler took over Gotham, and like there are elements that make it cool, but they just need to stop with the event books for Batman. And I love Batman, and they just need to stop. Just make a good story arc and don't try and tie in everything to it.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm also just not on a lot of Batman titles. Like there just aren't any that seem unique enough to stand out. And do you think that that's an editorial thing where it's like the main one has to like pull all the punches and all the other Batmans, like there's a contract clause that says like this Batman can't be better than the like original title.
Yeah, I just don't think they know what to do because there's not much creativity that you can do where it's something different in a Batman book, because they have to make an event story in Batman. They're going to have to leave Gotham, and they haven't done that yet. I mean, you even look at, City of Bane was just basically a comic version of Dark Knight Rises, the movie, where Bane takes over Gotham and controls it. And it's another variation of Nightfall from the early 90s. But it's just, and I get what you're saying, Brandon, that Gotham is a character and Batman should never not be in Gotham because Batman doesn't need to be in space. I think like Batman doesn't need to do those types of things. Batman needs to be a detective, be in Gotham, but just make a good story arc and don't worry about events. Don't make it someone taking over Gotham because there's not much else they can do with it. That's my only, I think, where I'm slowly starting to realize is they don't know what to do with an event in Batman, but Batman's the biggest selling book of theirs. So if they want to do an event book, they're like, well, we got to do Batman.
Batman.
The Nightwing book was also just fighting.
And it wasn't him going, like the end, spoiler, wasn't he going to Gotham? Because he's like, I know I just said all this stuff about Bloodhaven, but hey, let me go to Gotham.
Yep. And then the entire issue, once he got to Gotham, was him and Batman fighting. And it was just like, they don't know what to do with it because I feel like it's been done so often.
Yeah. That's what I think that Batman needs a break. I'm sure he's tired. He needs to take like a gap year. Just 1 year, no Batman.
Yeah. I don't know about that because Detective Comics is a really good story. I I think there's something to be said for the fact that I just read this issue of Batman and I can't remember what happened. That's part of the reason why I haven't been talking. But like, I have no idea what happened in this book that I just read. And I know that's normally my problem, but it was even worse with this issue.
But that's what they do. They just fight. That's it. Like there isn't impactful dialogue. There isn't like it's a fight, and it's like I'm looking forward to issue. I think it's 118 when we're off Fear State, and it's now I think Joshua Williams takes over. Just because I just want a good story. I don't need an event. I don't need all these tie-ins. Just make a good Batman story.
Did either of you happen to read Arkham City, The Order of the World?
I didn't. Because I'm trying to cut out some.
Yeah.
My shop didn't get mine.
Oh man. So I know that we were going to talk about Batman, but I mean, I didn't read Batman. But this one, same kind of thing, like after the events of A Day, where like Joker set off a poison bomb in Arkham Asylum, and most of the people died. Maybe some escaped. I think that they're trying to figure that out. But this one's written by Dan Waters and the art by Danny, which is the same creative team that did the secret files for Miracle Molly. And this one was actually a really good. I didn't think that I was going to like this at all, but it was really, really good.
Nice.
Yeah. Rat catchers in it. I don't know. I thought it was really fun.
Looking forward to actually getting to read that someday then.
Ooh. Brandon, you're missing out on some books there.
Strong disagree, but that's okay.
I mean, I like Supergirl, and I didn't read Arkham City, so Supergirl's a strong read, but
it is.
Man, you're missing out on some good. Hey, thanks, Cap. It's not my birthday, but nice try. And the panel knows it because we just talked about my birthday like a month ago. So
I was like, his birthday was like
just
a little bit ago. Yeah. I do think that there are a couple titles missing, and I would say the ones by Rom V. Like, if Swamp Thing isn't on your pull list, I mean, it's almost over now, but one of the better series, I think.
The ones by Tom Taylor.
Yeah, Nightwing.
Nice House on the Lake.
Superman, Superman, son of Kal-El, another Tom Taylor one. Yeah, Nice House on the Lake. You're missing some DC ones. I'm gonna throw
Wonder
that out
Girl.
there. What?
Wonder Girl.
Yeah, I didn't throw it out there because I felt like some people don't like it so far, and I'm okay with that. But
I've got if we're done with Batman, unless Ryan, you have any like kind of like final thoughts on Batman. So some news this week, and Ryan, I was actually really not that I wouldn't look forward to your perspective, Greg, but Ryan, your perspective on this working in a comic shop. But Marvel, for those of you who don't know, Marvel several months ago announced that they were going to cut ties with with Diamond Distributors and go to Penguin House, which actually does their trades. This was the first week that I think there's been an official like rollout of that. And I think that most shops have been reporting their Marvel books like 50% damaged. Is that true from what you saw, Ryan?
I don't know how many made it through. I don't work on Tuesdays anymore when our books get here and they get prepped. But I know that we have a full short box of damages.
Wow.
So that's not good.
No, not at all. Especially considering that this is the first week that Penguin House has taken over for Marvel. Did either of you get like damaged books, or did you notice a difference between like the books that you got?
I didn't when it comes to Marvel, and it was interesting because I saw the stuff being talked about on Wednesday about how all the Marvel books were getting damaged and things like that. And I couldn't make it into my shop. This was the first time I didn't go to my shop on a Wednesday when I was in town. Like, since I've been collecting, I went Thursday. So I was like, oh, shoot. Like, I'm going to miss out on all these Marvel books. And I asked him about it. He's like, really? He goes, we had a great experience with them the first shipping. He's like, the boxes that they put them in are a lot smaller boxes than the other one. So, like, there wasn't that shaking room for them, he said. He goes, the other thing I appreciated was, we got packing slips that showed us who packed the boxes. So if there were damages or issues with the boxes, of it being packed and it wasn't FedEx, they could at least track it back to who packed that box that you got, so they could try to, I don't know.
Ooh.
So like he was shocked when because he doesn't go on YouTube and stuff just because he's a one-man shop, so he spends a lot of his time dealing with, he just can't, like, he watches my show and I don't give any knowledgeable credit about comics, and that's about it. Like I just do cooking shows on my channel, so it's like
that's it.
he was not aware of this at all. And I went to another shop later that day and they said they didn't either. So I don't know if like just like areas like here in the Midwest we didn't have issues. I don't know where Penguin Random House ships out of or what, but
oh yeah, maybe the distributing center is a little bit closer to you.
That was Russ's theory when we were talking about it at Mail Geek, that like the farther away you go, you get from the distribution, the more banged up your box is going to get, because the box they sent, he showed me the box that it came in, and it is exactly the size of a comic book. Yeah. There is no wiggle room, like Greg was saying, but unfortunately that means if it does get damaged, the corners
if the
were all
box
screwed.
itself gets
every single corner of this box was crunched in, and like I did get my there was an Eternals spinoff that came out this week, and all of our copies of that got damaged on the bottom left corner, just crunched on every single issue, like visible painful damage on every book, and a bunch of our Spider-Man variants and other books.
Man,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that this might, I don't know if any like really big books like those big speculator books came out. I mean, ultimately the fewer like good copies in circulation could rise the price of like values later on if they end up becoming like hot keys, but I can't see any of them becoming like too hot of keys.
Yeah, it's interesting. I heard people talking and speculating that the Marvel books this week are going to be more, hard to get because they don't know if they're getting the new ones in or how much they're getting replaced with and all of this. I guess the only one I would say is a speculation, maybe possibly that could be a big one, but I felt like they made so many with the Amazing Spider-Man because it's a first in the new arc that everyone was like done with Nick Spencer. So now like it's moving on with this finally. So maybe that's, and like some of those variant covers, but I don't remember too many like where it's like, oh, a key first appearance of someone. And so
I did read the one that you mentioned, Eternal Celestia, and it wasn't bad, but Kieran Gillen just isn't, the writing just isn't there for me. It supposedly has like the origins of the Celestials, which it kind of does, kind of doesn't. So that's the only thing that I could think of that might be worth anything. But even if there is like worth in a book, it's probably going to be several years from now. I feel like most of them now, like maybe a year or two from now, if they become a hot book, they'll be $100 in a year, but that's like betting big on it.
I'm be curious if the chat got how their Marvel books were in the chat, because I just did a quick search, so it could be wrong, but apparently Penguin Random House is New York City.
Okay.
So it's at least closer to Ohio than it is for you both out west.
Yeah.
And if that makes it different or not. So I'd be curious to see, because I feel like there was one shop, I overheard them in Columbus talking about how everything was damaged and things like that too. So I think it's just kind of hit or miss. So I feel like we could be talking a different tale next week.
Yeah, true. So true. Well, one of the other books that we have on our list, I think that all three of us read it, and that's Dark Ages. Speaking of Marvel, speaking of like books that could have gotten damaged, Dark Ages. Ryan, what were your thoughts?
So it's a good book. Dark Ages #1 really, really surprised me with how good of an event comic it was. It's not like it's not necessarily a crossover event. I don't think there's going to be like one shots or tie-ins to this series, which I think is the best way to do an event story. Tie-ins really slow it down, and I don't know. It makes the story too broad. This story is tight and focused, and issue 1 had a lot of good setup of the world that we are in, and the story, you can kind of get a sense of it. Issue 1 was all build up, and this is the first time you really get to explore and dive into the current situation that these people find themselves in several years into a blackout and how everybody's adapting.
And in this one too, I feel like you do get to see how all of the like teams and where they're at and how they've been dealing with it. So like we do get to see a lot of the more technologically advanced places like Wakanda. So there's all these scientists in the world who are in Wakanda, like Moon Girl. Shuri is there. There's a whole bunch of other like just sciencey people who are there. Dealing with the blackout, trying to deal with, a world without technology. And spoiler alert, Apocalypse does come in at the end. And there's kind of, because this is an event and doesn't follow the main storyline, it's like, do we follow Apocalypse or not? So.
Yeah,
right.
I was just going to say what Ryan was saying. I think this is the model that the big two should do going forward with event books. This is an event story. To me, this is an event book. I get it. It's out of continuity, probably, it's all of this. But this is what I want from an event. Like, let me read it and let me see if I want to enjoy it. I think Heroes Reborn was another one I would say from Marvel was an event story. I liked the first 2 issues. I was high on it. And then I dropped off and didn't finish reading it. And that's fine. But I at least appreciated what they were doing with it. And I think if they want to do a one-offs or offshoots of this in that character, have it separate from the title. And I think that's what, if they want to tie it in. So like if, they go back to Batman, if they want to do an event story in Batman, keep the event story in Batman. And if you want to do an offshoot of like a Catwoman character book or something, at least make it a one-shot offshoot and not into the main title of the book that you're reading. So if you don't care about Batman, it doesn't affect your story. And I think that's what I like about this. If you're not reading anything else, you can read Dark Ages and it's not affecting the story that you want.
Yep, that, and don't let the event muddy up the titles that you do like, because that issue of Nightwing just wasn't that good because of it. And Nightwing had just ended on an arc where he's like, I'm going to use my power, which is money, for good, and I'm going to help out Bloodhaven, and I'm going to make things right here. I'm going to actually invest in the city. That's going to be basically my superpower now. And then the next issue, he's like, okay, I guess I've got to go to Gotham.
Right. And it felt like Tom Taylor was like, well, guys, I have to do this, so sorry. But this book was great. I love what they're doing. Again, the panel, and this doesn't give away too much, but spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
I love that panel right there where the Cap's just walking in and cuts off like the zombie creature Goblin's head with his shield, like just so nonchalant. Like, that's awesome. But this was I think this is a great setup too. You have a lot of different characters that are being pulled in here, and there's a lot of twists and turns, and it's a lot of fun. And I think Tom Taylor has become my favorite writer so far. Like, I have a list of writers that if someone shows up if they're writing a book, I'm going to pick that book up.
Yep.
Tom Taylor is on that list. If Tom Taylor's name is on a book, I'm picking it up. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Who are some other people on your list?
On my list, Mark Russell's on that list right now for me, who's Not All Robots. He's doing Second Coming. He's doing the Fantastic Four life stories right now. And he has a new book just got announced. I'm blanking on what it is. I want to say it's like a Red Tornado or something. It's weird on DC.
Yeah, the app one. It's based on apps.
Yep. So like Mark Russell, his humor is always there. Stephanie Phillips has got it up there with me for on my must list of like she puts out a book, I'm reading it.
Can
Those are
I
the 3 off the top of my head right now. But
can I say really quick, because
Go for
we
it.
talked about stuff, or we talked about Nuclear Family,
Yep.
and I mentioned about the cover, where it's like the family portrait and they're sitting and there's a missing pair of feet. I don't know, like, what the hell I was thinking, but I actually got to meet Stephanie Phillips, and I talked to her a little bit. We talked about like public subs. We talked about living in Florida and like dealing with hurricanes and stuff. But of course, I'm like, hey, did you notice that there's not a good amount of feet on this cover? And then I'm like, I probably shouldn't have said that to the writer. She probably doesn't give a shit. So, Stephanie Phillips, if you're watching, I know you probably are. Thank you for putting up with me being just an absolute dumbass about the cover of that book.
did she not say anything about it? She just brushed it off like
She was like, oh well, when the cover comes out, like we don't really get to approve it, or maybe like it gets approved last minute or something like that. And I'm just like, she's probably the last person that I need to talk to about the cover of this damn book. So yeah.
I
This
love
freaking
it.
girl's crazy. What's she asking me about the cover for?
Yeah.
I know.
Here.
I once interviewed her, so she messaged me instantly. She's like, "Is this Jennifer? Is she on a show with you? Like, do you know what she just asked me?"
Get me out of this.
Get me out of this. Yeah, that's exactly what I imagined.
I was like, "I'm sorry, Stephanie."
I'll tell Jennifer to rein it in.
Next time. I was like, next time.
Yeah. So that was Dark Ages. Some of the other news that I have here is I've never read Unfollow, the book. I think it's a Vertigo series, and I don't know if they're making a show out of it, but apparently it says it may be like Squid Games. Have you read Unfollow or watched Squid Games yet?
No on both.
I have not watched. I have not read Unfollow, but
Okay.
Squid Games is on my. It's on my like list to watch, and dag nabbit, Korea's making some heck of a good pop culture. They just won the Academy Award 2 years ago with Parasite, and now Squid Games is what everyone's talking about on Netflix. Like they're like, hey, listen up, Hollywood.
Yeah, it's really good. Go into it like people say it's like Battle Royale, but I honestly think like go into it knowing that it's going to be so much more than that.
Okay.
And one of my favorite movies of all time is Old Boy, which is a Korean film, and
The original Old Boy,
the
right?
original Old
Okay.
Boy, yeah, is one of my absolute favorite films ever. And I feel like I don't want to be like it stole stuff from this, but I feel like if you watch the beginnings of Squid Games and the beginnings of Old Boy just feel so similar to me. But that's a good comparison.
I need to watch the original Old Boy because I only saw the new Old Boy that came out. Spike Lee did with Josh Brolin, and I mean the concept is like, and that's probably why I'm like so hesitant because I'm like, whoo, like I'm sure it's a better version of it, but I'm like, man, that was
you still the spoiler that like kind of happens in it, and I don't want to say that in the original Korean it's better. It's definitely different. And there's a whole trilogy. It's the Revenge trilogy, so that's the best movie out of them. But I would it's one of my favorites. I would highly recommend the original Old Boy. I know that we were supposed to be talking about Squid Games and it just completely derailed into something else.
This is what we do on Common Cock Live.
I'm really liking Squid Games. I just finished the 3rd episode and it's pretty gosh darn interesting. I like it a lot.
I'm gonna start this weekend, I guarantee you. So I'll be caught up soon.
Sweet. One of the next comics that I will talk about because I don't know, I said so, I guess. Because I think that all 3 of us are on it, and that's Chicken Devil. And I have to give Bueller all the credit for this because he put me onto this, and he's like, it's called Chicken Devil. You really have to read it. And I'm like, whatever you say, Bueller. Like, I will go ahead and try it, give it a try. And it's kind of weird. A guy works for a chicken company and is this proprietor of this special pressure cooking machine.
Yeah.
And he gets involved with like the mafia, and then this was weird and it was fun. I say that question mark.
I really appreciate how they directly addressed the Breaking Bad problem.
Yes, I like
Yes.
that too.
Because I started thinking that the further along the issue went, I was like, just this feels a little too close to Breaking Bad for me. And
Mhm.
then he points that out in the dialogue, the main character.
He's like, they were selling meth, not heroin. Like we're the heroin guys. Like
It's totally different. It's totally
Yeah.
different.
yeah.
It's a different thing. So the idea of Chicken Devil, if you haven't gotten to read it, the premise is like Jennifer said, the guy owns a hot chicken shop. And he has a partner who's been his best friend forever. Calls him into the shop, and it looks like they're smuggling heroin inside the chicken buckets and stuff. That they go. The owner doesn't know anything about this, from what we can tell from this book. He seems flabbergasted that this is going on. The best friend seems a little shady, and again, spoiler alerts, gang. We're telling you this so you can, we can talk about it. But basically, it becomes a little bit of Breaking Bad and the Punisher origin story. And then
with the chicken devil.
with
Can you
the chicken
imagine
devil-
like a whole bunch of like people with trucks with the chicken devil sign on like the
Yep.
back of their truck?
Yup. And then add in. Do you ever see the movie The Man Who Knew Too Little?
No.
Man who knew too
They did a
much.
remake of it with Bill Murray back in like the 90s, but it basically is a guy who's like a spy and has no idea what he's doing. He just stumbles into it. He thinks it's a game, like one of those like dinner theater games. And this is kind of where it feels like, where it's like you get a Punisher origin story. This guy has no idea what he's doing, but he then like tries to become I gotta step up and be a mafioso. And his mom is like a criminal or something in prison already.
Yeah.
And so like he's trying to step away. Like I thought this was a blast. I had no idea. I didn't read anything about it. I saw the cover. I was like, oh, it's an Aftershock #1, Chicken Devil. I'm gonna just get it. Let's see what happens. Yeah. And good golly, it was a blast.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And
I also went in completely cold too, and that's one of the best ways to experience this comic in particular, because it doesn't make any sense based on the cover. It's wild. It's a good time.
Yeah. Sweet. So the next part of the news that I have is that it just says here that Guardians of the Galaxy is being canceled, and I assume that means the comic, not the TV show. Do any of you know anything about that, or what's going on with it?
I'm assuming it's a TV show or the
movie,
because because James Gunn just announced just like a week ago or 2 weeks ago about like that they're doing the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, which was supposed to be in full swing. So I imagine it's the comic book.
Yeah.
I heard it was the Guardians comic and also Miles Morales.
Okay.
Which seems even weirder to me, but I know I read issue 1 of Guardians, and I'm a person, as you know, who does not cancel comics. And I read 1 issue of Guardians and I dropped it immediately. I did not enjoy.
Wow. Why do you think that is?
I can't remember. It's been so long since I read it. It was over a year ago, but I think in general, just sci-fi is hard for me anyway. You got to do it really, really well.
So there's like a high bar for sci-fi, is what you're saying.
Apparently, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Whereas certain things I love, I have a low bar for. Anything that involves tentacles or Cthulhu, just give it to me. I don't care how good or bad it is. Let's go.
Did you get, speaking of Cthulhu, did you get the Kickstarter Cthulhu Invades Oz?
No.
Oh.
No, apparently that's my bar.
Wow. I just imagine that you don't back that many Kickstarters.
I don't either,
No.
but here you go.
Okay.
I thought about it. I saw it.
I'm gonna.
Well, they're also now gonna do Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. And so they're just anthology stories about different Cthulhu stories, but there's a lot of who's who when it comes to stories in here. So if you're a Cthulhu guy, I'm just saying.
Maybe more of an H.P. Lovecraft guy than Cthulhu.
Ooh.
You didn't say that. You said Cthulhu. So
Sure, that's
You
shorthand.
said Cthulhu and tentacles.
I did, which also has other things that I'm not into that feature tentacles.
Oh,
but
sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, you're backtracking real quick here.
Yeah.
Ryan.
I'm sorry, guys. I gotta go. No one wants
Hey,
tentacle
by the way,
stuff.
real quick, just because I never read the back pages, I just have to say this: the story on Mitch's hot chicken story was fantastic on the back of this, and also I sat and read every single menu item and was like, I want to know. I
But
was
now
like,
you can make it.
I was like, I want this. I'm going to try and make a hot chicken sandwich now using at least trying to figure out what their issue. I need to find out what the comeback sauce is because that seems like the piece de resistance. But we will do a by Jeff Bezos got you again.
Can she do that on her own channel?
On her own show. She's like, listen. No, so I want to do this hot chicken sandwich and I want to figure out what the comeback sauce is. So I'm gonna try and message the writer and say, hey, listen, this is an obscure, but if you were gonna say what you think the comeback sauce recipe would be, what would it be? And then I'm gonna come back next week and tell you, like, hey guys, spoiler alert, we're gonna get the recipe in issue number 3.
It involves heroin. That's the secret.
Yeah.
That's the secret sauce.
I'm like, all right,
they're so
bearded,
addicted.
here we go. We got to go find some heroin. So if you guys know someone, send them our way because we got to make that comeback sauce. So.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Record it. Yeah, that's always good advice.
You need to feed the content machine. Speaking of content machine, I don't know. I think that we all read this one out.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first on this one? Because I have conflicting feelings.
I think Ryan should.
Okay.
I'm scared now. I don't know what Jen's going to say. I don't know what Jen's going to say, but out number 1 from AWA. My favorite book I've read in a while. So I'm really interested to see what you think, but this pushed all the right buttons for me. Like I like historical stuff. I like sometimes war stuff / politics. There's like a little overlap there. War history and politics are all tied together. And this involves vampires, Nazi vampires, which sounds really bad. It sounds cheesy when you say it that way. But basically, in the closing days of World War II, when Germany is about to lose the war and they're kind of like, let's try anything we can think of to maybe turn this thing around, they find like an old coffin somewhere and it's got a vampire in it, and they like unleash this vampire into a prisoner of war camp to kind of like test it out, I guess, to see what it does. And you kind of get to know a group of prisoners in this camp, and right at the end of this, the vampire is introduced in a very dramatic way. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I really appreciate this book. I love horror comics. I think there need to be more of them. I also really love AWA. So this is kind of pushes all my buttons. The only thing it's missing is tentacles.
But not that type of tentacles, gang.
But not that type of
tentacles. I will take any kind of tentacles in this book.
Oh.
You just said this, not
in this book. In this book. If it wants to turn into like some kind of sex thing with these prisoners, let's go for it.
Wow.
I'm going to shut up.
Tell us how you really feel.
Oh, yeah. Sexy vampires with tentacles in prison.
I think you broke Greg. I think that with this book, I think what it was is that it felt like there's that episode of Family Guy where they say that The Simpsons, is it? I don't know. South Park makes fun of Family Guy. One of those shows makes fun of another one where it's like they have the dolphin just like pick
the manatee,
like the manatee, pick
Beautiful.
out, like that's kind of how I felt like this was. I felt like someone was just like, let's throw World War II. It's never been done and would be such a radical idea. Vampire Nazis. I don't know.
They did have Nazi zombies.
I
right?
just
That's
feel like, I don't know. I felt like the idea, it didn't do enough for me. I needed something like tentacles in it to push the boundaries just a little bit. Like if they had maybe had everything at the end and then like, oh shit, they went out and looked in the sky and there's like tentacles coming down, then I think that's what I would have needed for this book.
I was going to go in a much different direction with the tentacles, but I'm glad you.
But
clearly,
I thought you were going to go a different route, Jennifer, when you were talking about The Simpsons Family Guy, because they did the whole like The Simpsons did it. This feels very much like someone was like, "Hey, gang, Philadelphia has vampires." In the U.S. with the founding fathers, and it's a hit. let's have Nazi vampires in World War II, and it'll be a hit. I felt like also what was I enjoyed this book, and I'm gonna keep reading it because AWA. I put like writers. Like if a writer makes a book, I'm gonna put AWA basically is like on that list of if they're putting out a book, I'm picking it up because they've earned that status with me. And they're gonna earn at least a little bit of respect that I'm gonna read it to try and figure out. I think what they were trying to do, I appreciated it, but I don't think it landed. They were doing the whole like we're talking in German and you don't know what we're saying, but then we're going to tell you it works. But they did that kind of like switch off. So
like translated from a Polish person, translated from a German person. Like
they did
Polish
it with like
from,
4 different languages, and it just felt like too much. And to me, I was just like, just do one or the other, and you have to do one. You have to just translate it and just say, hey, we're all German or Polish and we just understand, and just do some weird like we don't get it, but it does. There was too much of that. There was too much of that transition there. And I felt like there were moments of the artwork. I literally read and flipped back and forth between the last 2 pages like over 10 times ago which character died.
Yeah, I have felt that way too.
I'm not, and that's no spoiler to you because you don't know who I'm talking about. I'm literally saying someone dies in the end of this book, and I don't know who it was because I flipped through. I'm like, wait, which one was it? I was like, oh, they showed the number. I was like, wait, was that the guard number or is it the prison number?
You don't get to see the number in one of the panels.
Any other place in the book, and I'm like, nabbit, this sucks. Like, who died? And I think I know, but I was just like, this. It just. There was enough that I'm like, but I'm intrigued still. I just hope they kind of figure out their stride. I will say the thing that intrigued me probably the most out of the entire book was this page right here.
Yeah.
The next issue of Marjorie Finnegan. Which is also a book that Ryan and I love and adore.
I read the first issue and I definitely appreciate how like spunky she is, I guess. I don't know any other way to describe it. But I missed out on some of the later issues, which can happen with some of the smaller publishers like AWA.
It feels like it would absolutely be a book that you like. Mm-hmm. That's the impression I get. It feels very Gen friendly.
Gen friendly. It doesn't take much for them to be gen friendly, but I definitely think that there's like several like niche storylines or things that I'm like, yeah, I need to pick that up.
I will tell you, doing this show with you all and now for almost a year, I'll read a comic book and I'll go, ooh, I don't think Jennifer would like this at all. This would set her off. Or I'm like, Ryan would dig this. I literally will finish a comic now and I'm like, and it doesn't happen with every book, but there are books where I'm like, yeah, no, they would not like this one. This would be a no. And I'm like, dang it, I've been doing a review show with these fools for too long, and it's great. I don't mean too long because it's not, but I'm just like, you guys have infiltrated my reading.
I need to read Philadelphia.
You do need to read Philadelphia.
I have the first 2 trades. I just haven't got to it yet. I'm trying to finish Mighty Thor first.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I'm really curious now what your list would be for like, this would be like the Gen, this is the book that triggers Gen, or this is the book that like Ryan is just going to like rip to shreds.
All right. I'll tell you one. That popped up because there was one I'm like, I think Jennifer would rip this to shreds.
Which one was it?
It came out this week. It was image number 1, Righteous Thirst for Vengeance.
See, here's the thing. I fucking hate Rick Remender so much that like I won't even pick that book up. And I can already tell you it's going to be some like edgelord dark fantasy about a guy with daddy issues who probably cheated on his wife. Did I guess the book?
Is that accurate?
You're pretty close. Let's just
wow.
let's just say there's
Now
some,
I want to read it.
well, I read it. No, you don't. I'm just gonna say it straight up. I thought it was. I will not read any more of that book. And I was like, ooh. I was like, ooh. And then I saw who it was. I was like, Rick Remender. I was like, I feel like someone on the show doesn't like it. And I'm like, it's Jennifer. I guarantee you, it's Jennifer. Yep. And it was. So
that's so funny.
see,
Wow.
this is what happens, gang. We talk every week about what comics we like and don't like, and
I think.
And you remember? That's my problem. I forget everything you guys say.
Oh.
So what do I know?
It's so funny because I feel like within our community, like we also see that from other people too. So for instance, on Monday or Tuesday, I get a text from Mars, and Mars is like, "Oh my God, Jen, did you read the Me You Love in the Dark? She fucks the monster." Like, and that's the text that I wake up to at like 8 a.m, which is like, that's our relationship 100%. But then Tuesday night, I get a text from John's Comics with Kids, and he's like, "I really think Mars is going to like this issue of the Me You Love in the Dark." And I'm like, check out the screenshot she's already sent me. So I think that even within the community, there's books that I'm like, I know that John would like, or I know that John's girls would like.
Yep.
So that's so interesting how that ends up happening.
Yeah.
And then Ryan just doesn't give a shit about us at all.
I messaged John a bunch. I didn't realize John was on that book. And last night when I was reading that issue, they were talking about the movie About Time, which I watched with him for a panel like a year or two ago. And so I sent him like screenshots, meticulous screenshots, by the way, panel after panel. I took photos of all of them. I cropped them all nice and pretty, and I sent them to him one by one by one. And then this was like at 1 a.m. And I wake up this morning. He's like, "Oh yeah, I read that." I'm just like, well, damn it.
I love it.
Friend.
Is like Ryan. I'm the new John. Like I'm John's new you, because I sent him, like, when I was reading Why the Last Man, there was a panel where it was talking about a movie that we had just talked about, and it was oh shoot, I'm blanking on what it was, but I was like, oh, now I know why you like Why the Last Man, because they talked about this movie and Miller's Crossing. And I'm like, no one else watched Miller's Crossing, but John and I talked about our movie show when we also talked about Time too. So
John loves that friggin' movie, and he'll talk about it whenever he wants.
He does. Well, we talked about when we did time travel, so yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for jumping on the John's Comics with the Kids grenade for me. You know,
yep.
I was looking for a way to drop that guy for the longest time.
I tried to, and then he dropped the grenade on me, and so now we don't do shows together anymore. So sorry.
That's all right. He's a big TikToker now, anyway.
He's a TikTok celebrity now. So.
Slapping his kids on camera or whatever he does.
The things you can do on TikTok.
Slapping sandwiches out of their mouths.
Yeah, food.
I literally, all I could think of when I saw that video was Nacho Libre. Get that corn out of my face. You haven't seen it. Yeah.
Oh,
all right, next comic.
So the next comic, and I think all three of us read it, maybe two of us read
it. Did we skip any news? Was there news?
You know, I think that we probably did skip some news.
There's always news.
Okay, so the news that I see here is apparently Peacemaker is getting his own comic with John Cena.
Did that pass? Skip.
A comic, or the series?
I don't know. It just says John Cena Peacemaker comic.
Well, I know they're doing the HBO Max has a series that they're doing, and they dropped a teaser, I think Monday or Tuesday, with the characters from. Have you guys seen the new Suicide Squad movie?
Mm-hmm.
So the two basically underlings of Amanda Waller are kind of like doing some type of team, and Peacemaker is the part. And the trailer they dropped, or the teaser they dropped, was Peacemaker drives up in like this like American flag Corvette with a bald eagle in the back, and is like goes into the diner in like full Peacemaker gear, and they're like, "Did you really show up in costume for our meeting?" And he's like, "This is my uniform." He's like, so it's gonna be very just like like stupid humor like that you got a little bit of with the Peacekeeper, and they just announced that they're going to do a full trailer for the series for DC Fandom on not this Saturday but next Saturday. So
next Saturday, got it.
So I'm excited for that.
I want to be excited, but I'm too cynical. I'll just end up watching HBO other stuff.
Well, I'm excited. No, I'm excited for DC Fandom.
Yes, I'm not excited for Peacemaker.
I was excited for.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna watch Peacemaker because I have HBO Max.
I'll be watching Sopranos again or something.
Did you watch the Sopranos movie?
Twice. Yes. Yeah, I did.
Touche.
That's me. While everyone else is watching fun stuff.
You're an old soul.
I am. That's why John and I got along so well, because he's so old.
Got along, past tense.
Yeah, we're not friends anymore.
Yeah.
You're that guy.
Who's popular now, John?
Admit it, you love your mother-in-law.
He admitted. Boo!
Everybody needs to go and watch. I think you should leave on Netflix.
I have to, because if I'm gonna keep doing this freaking show with you guys, I have to watch it because you guys keep making references, and I'm like, every time you make a reference I don't understand, I'm like, it's that show I haven't watched. Dagnabbit.
Yeah, it's so good. And then Ryan, you've definitely got to watch The Detroiters for sure.
I do. One day.
Hey Ryan, Slot wants to win one of your books that you're bagging right now.
Can I win a book? Oh, I'm not bagging books. I'm just doing bags and boards. There's no. All I have are my own
books. Oh.
Ooh, was that the naughty cover?
Of course it is, baby. But we're not talking about that one now. We're doing Nice House on the Lake. This one is not naughty. It's naughty because I don't like it. I'll throw that out there.
Wait, what?
The Nice House on the Lake cover, the variant.
Oh, got it.
Oh, why didn't you get the regular cover then?
Because I'm on the variants and like I have to get one or the other all the way through. I can't switch.
Oh, if only you worked in a comic shop and you had access to Switch.
Yeah.
I can't get the first issues. Like I have variants all the way back to the beginning, and like I sold all the copies of it to every single person that walks in the door. I throw that book at everybody who enters Mill Geek Comics, and we don't have any back issues of this run.
That's because you've been suggesting it.
You've been slanging that.
Suggesting it is a very gentle term. Yeah, I'm like, you're gonna fucking buy this, or get the hell out.
Ooh,
get the hell out!
I feel like you guys both are a little bit more sassy on Jennifer's channel. I feel like you're a little bit more reserved on Will's channel, and you're nah.
It's the adult tour. We can say whatever the hell we want.
Ooh, yeah, hell yeah. Now that
is this just turned into a Kite Man episode? Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Now that because I feel like 100% there's no adult supervision on my channel whatsoever. That's probably bad, but I don't know. That could be why. Where I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna get grounded if I say a curse word.
There's children watching.
Did anyone else read this book?
Yes.
What did you guys think about it?
I keep waiting for this series to disappoint me, and it hasn't yet. I feel like you're both going to give me shit for that now, or disagree.
I will say this. I don't think I love this series as much as everyone else seems to. I've heard a lot of channels that have said, like, this is the book. This series is like the book of the year for me. And I enjoy it, but I don't know if I'm going to put it up there as like.
What else would you say?
Like, what is the best book of the year? Is that Greg?
I have two potential contenders, and I know already first and second place.
I'd have to think. I would say, here's the deal with me. When I talk about books of the year for me, because I'll have to start, and I always do it for book of the year. My regulation, my rules are, you have to have at least 3 issues out in this year, like. Because that means if it can be an ongoing or not. I know right off the top of my head, I will put Superman, Son of Kal-El over this as my. I enjoy reading it more often than I do this, and I can only say that because I read book 4 and 5 tonight.
Sorry,
shut up, Scott! I do like Sinister War though. I did like it. It was fun. It hit the right button for me. And it's not that I'm not knocking Nice Out. It's gonna make my top 10 probably, but I feel like it, and maybe it's just getting the praise of like it's the best book of the year, and I'm like, I don't know what it is for me yet.
John's Comics The Kids showed up just at the right moment for me to say that this comic is as close to Lost as I have ever seen any comic get to.
Okay,
what I also
55
like
minutes.
There we go.
Literally like is that we just talked about John for 20 minutes.
We did. You missed
And
all
he
the bad
wasn't
stuff.
here, and as soon as we stopped talking about him, here he goes.
Yeah. So that means you have to like go back and like rewatch. I don't know, like there's sometimes whenever John is in the chat and I feel uncomfortable because in the same way I'm like, okay, now I have like adult supervision. I can't curse. I'm just kidding.
Maybe
Well, you
there's
also don't know
children
if it's like, wait, is it John actually here, or shoot, is his kid here watching on John's phone while John's doing another show? Because I've had it multiple times where his kids are watching other channels while their dad is doing a show.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're gonna have to grow up someday.
Yeah, I mean, I would do that too. I don't want to watch. I watch other people's shows than his stream. So, I liked it. I say that like I'm trying to like look through this because I read issue 4 and 5 today, to make it fresh. I will just say I really liked about issue 4 when they were showing the Action Comic #1, Detective Comics 27, and Wonder Woman. I was like, oh, cool, Easter egg. Ooh, cool. And then like later on in that issue, they were showing it was on the shopping list. I was like, now it makes sense. Now I don't feel as cool for catching that.
But why? You should feel cool no matter what, Greg. You're a star.
I'm a shooting star.
You're a TikTok phenomenon.
No, I'm not. That is Comics Kings and John. I don't do the TikTok.
Agree.
But so what do you love about this book? Like that is the book of the year for you, Ryan?
Why do I love it?
Or like, why did this issue? Like you said, this issue, none of them have let you down yet, and this issue didn't. So, what was it for you? Like that hit the right notes, or?
Sorry, Slots. I feel like if that wasn't a joke, that's a very good joke because I don't know old comics at all, and especially old Marvel comics. I know nothing. But as far as Nice House on the Lake goes, it's the structure. I really love the way it's told. I love the way that I love the way that each issue peels back a layer at the same time. It doesn't peel too much back. Like each chapter of this book, like you feel like by the time you're done, you understand a little bit more about the way the story works. And then right when you feel like you're starting to get the hang of it, some other twist comes out. It's like a 1-2 punch kind of situation. Like you get just when you're getting the hang of it, you get the wind knocked out of you. And I don't know, maybe it's just like subjective. Maybe nobody else likes this book as much as I do. But the first issue especially just completely blew me away. And I don't think any of the following ones have been like that good, but I still love this book more than anything else on my pull list every month.
Wow. I would say I'm like right in between you. Like I really do like this book. It's not my favorite, but I still really do like it. And I do like the way that you mentioned, Ryan, where like each issue you find like something out with this, and there definitely is that like surprise ending at the end of this issue. My one question is, and maybe it's just because my memory is foggy of the first 4 issues before this, when does it confirm that Walter is an alien? Because it's like in this
episode,
okay.
Right at the end.
Okay.
Right at the end of issue 1, I'm almost positive.
Okay, because I was like, it keeps talking about it being alien, but maybe I got the sense that it was more supernatural than like an alien.
I mean, it could be supernatural, I guess.
Well,
both.
Let me just say this: it was confirmed that in issue 1 that Walter was something different.
Mm-hmm.
I think the term they use is alien.
Okay.
I don't think that necessarily means it's not, supernatural or something. They use the terminology alien, but I think it could be still supernatural if they want it. Like, they have called it and clarified Walter as an alien.
We don't see him walking out of a UFO or something. Or
Yeah.
Right. They've said it. And I don't think they started saying alien until issue 4 or 5.
I think that's why I was maybe foggy on that, because I remember last time they were talking about maybe the alien technology that was bringing them the gifts, and then in this one they specifically referred to him as an alien. So maybe it was just in the other 2 issues I didn't.
Yeah,
Didn't
I
see
think
that,
issue
so.
I think issue 4 and issue 5 is when the house guests, the real life, real world of DC here, they refer to him as an alien.
Any other thoughts on this book?
I like it. I like where it's going. And again, I think I don't want people to think I don't like this book. Like Jennifer said, I just don't know if it's my book of the year like people are saying it is.
Mm-hmm.
I like the twist at the end here. I like the twist at the end of issue 4. And so I'm enjoying it, and I'm going to keep picking it up, and I'm intrigued.
I don't remember what you. Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
I don't remember what you said earlier, Greg, about who your favorite writer was, but for me, it is now James Tynion. Yeah, Tom Taylor. For me, James Tynion, and then Tom Taylor underneath.
Yeah,
but also like Chip Zdarsky and Edward Baker.
Yeah, like Tynion's up there. I mean, I feel like I'm the only person still reading Wind, which I was on John's show talking about Wind, and I guarantee you they're still not reading Wind. Because it's like 15 John or Alec. Oh. It's 15 issues in. And I feel like they read 3 issues. So, like, and with Something's Killing the Children, I feel like Tynion would be up there as well. Yeah. Ooh, John's talking that trash about stray dogs again.
What?
Yeah, him and Alec bashed Stray Dogs last night.
That's my number 2 for the year after Nice House on the Lake.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this group to do that like recap of the year, because we're all talking about some of our favorite books, and
I feel like we need to do that. I think we should do a
special
year-end Comic Talk Live top 5 books of the year and talk about it, because it'll be interesting.
And it's funny how you mentioned earlier about like getting a kind of like a taste for what everyone's taste is, where it's like, I know that this person will love or hate this book. Like we almost know like what our opinions are going to be on the panel. But I think that all of our books for the end of the year are going to be pretty surprising, with the exception of me. Like I think everyone knows, but
Swamp Thing, Layla Starr. Yep.
Layla Starr. There's 5 issues of that, right? You could just say
just Romby. So yeah. So that's interesting. So I do think that picking out everyone else's books of the year is going to be a little bit tougher than I would say. I think this person will like or hate this book.
Well, it's interesting too, and not to get on a tangent, but as I was watching Alec and John talk about it last night on their show, it's interesting to think of, like, John said it was the hype of Stray Dogs for him. Like that he was like, I like it, but I don't love the hype, like as much as people are making out. And I was curious, is it a lot of new comic book readers that love it, or is it old heads that love it? Because Mrs. Bearded, we talked about, we did an episode, we do a show called Mrs. Beard Reads the Comic. Her 3rd episode, she did Stray Dogs. She put Stray Dogs down, issue 1, and then read the entire trade off camera because she wanted to finish it, because she couldn't put down the story. And I was just curious. I'm like, and she was like, I loved it. And so is it not deep enough for like us old comic book readers where like, this is not Scorsese-esque enough. This is too much MCU. And I'd just be curious to see like that when we're reading comics, what that would be.
I think hype is one of the worst things that can happen. I think hype is the reason nobody likes crossover.
Well, then that's what we talked about last week. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a perfectly legitimate, fine book, but expectations have a way of coloring your opinion. I think if I had heard anything about Chicken Devil before reading it, I would have had a much different experience when I actually read it and had the story just kind of unfold for me. I think that's also one of the reasons why Nice House on the Lake was such a smash issue 1 success, because they did not say what the hell it was about before it dropped.
We knew that it was going to be like a horror book.
Right? There's something off. Like this guy Walter's inviting his friends for a vacation. Stuff goes wrong. Like they don't tell you anything.
Well, yeah, I remember when I saw the title, I was like, oh, this is gonna be one of those like cheesy slasher horror books where it's like, oh, we're all at that nice expensive mansion house on the lake, and then our friends start to get slashed and cut and killed throughout the night, and like, who's the killer?
Who's the killer?
I also really would have liked that book. If that was what they were gonna do, I would have been all on board with that too. Because that's also
that's why you like Basket Full of Heads.
No, I didn't like that book. Not really. But I'm still getting the sequel.
I know. What is it?
Refrigerator full of heads. Yeah.
So now I just want to know, like, is this like a sequel? Are these sequels or prequels to 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag with Joe Pesci from like 1996?
I was gonna say like episode 3 is gonna be canning heads. Like they had they had them in a basket, then they put them in the refrigerator, and now they need to can the heads, and now they're gonna be in the cupboard.
Ryan's face when I said 8 heads. You haven't seen 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag, have you?
No, but you're like the king of obscure references tonight, and I'm really loving it.
So 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag is a mafia comedy where Joe Pesci literally has to take this duffel bag full of 8 heads so to the mob boss that they can confirm this kill. He basically has to take it like cross country, and shenanigans ensue when he loses heads and the duffel bag.
Decapitation shenanigans.
But it's your classic Joe Pesci comedy, but he's a mobster. Like, find it. Go find it on streaming and watch it someday. Doesn't have to be tonight, but someday.
So I don't have to keep pausing Succession to go find 8 heads in a duffel bag?
Yeah, no.
I did have to pause Succession to finish What If, which
I kind of fell off on What If.
It kind of picks up a little near the end, but the finale did not do it for me, unfortunately. Which I got into trouble for saying, but
you got in trouble for that?
One of my people here was very disappointed that I did not enjoy the final episode.
I know that I'm kind of coming here, like cutting in the middle of this conversation. So the penultimate episode where Jane Foster, I hated that episode so much that I couldn't even finish the last episode because I hated the one before it so bad. And I'm so sorry that my cat is screaming behind me.
I didn't hear it.
So by Jane Foster, you mean the one where Thor is like an obnoxious frat bro?
Yeah, like
you did not like that one.
See it. I hated that one so like on so many different levels. I don't know if it was just a change in the animation style, whether it was how they perceived Thor's character to be like a fuck bro frat boy. Like I just imagined him wearing like boat shoes or something. And
was this collar popped?
Yes, 1,000%. It was popped, and like in an ironic way. Like he has a collared shirt on that's popped underneath underneath like a Bush Reagan shirt or whatever it is. Yeah, sorry, he's a dude.
The last What If I saw was the Doctor Strange episode.
Oh well, that was an excellent one.
I liked it. They just weren't sticking as well for me, so I was like, I'll get to it, and then other things popped up, and I kind of haven't watched it.
Like Squid Games.
I need to watch it. I will watch Squid Games before I watch the rest of What If. I'm just saying that right now.
I just don't like the way Netflix does it. I don't like how they just drop the season all at once. You can't skip lunch. You can't do it that way. You can't
skip lunch.
You don't like it because you don't have self-control.
It's not about self-control. It's about the fact that like everybody, like so many people can either watch it all in one day or watch it once a week or watch it like once a month. Nobody's ever on the same page. And,
but
you can't.
I will say this. I haven't been hit yet with any spoilers of Squid Game. I have no idea And maybe
That's why you need to watch it as quickly as possible
Yeah.
before it gets spoiled for you.
I know.
Or before people don't care anymore, because Netflix
Oh,
shows
yeah.
have a shelf life of like a month, and by the time
Yeah.
everyone's caught up, no one's gonna give a shit anymore. Like, who's talking about Sweet Tooth anymore? Like, no one's talking
Yeah.
about Tiger King. You know, that came and went. That was a little longer than
I'm
most.
talking
but
about
like,
Tiger King.
Episode.
I still
but
haven't
there's-
watched that goddamn show.
There's going to be a season 2.
I know, that's what I was saying. We watched it last week. We talked about it last week.
I think like if Lost had come out on Netflix and everybody had been able to binge the hell out of it all at once, then there would have been no like that show would not have worked. There's no like week over week and like everyone's on the same page every week and people can talk about it and there's like a participation.
Yeah, but
element.
I feel like that also that model has shifted a lot. Netflix has found Netflix doesn't curate their shows for YouTube channels like us, where it's like, give us something to talk about each week. They are, hey, let's be the buzz for a week and we're okay with it.
Yeah, I guess if they have so many shows,
They
can do that.
I mean, because you're right. Like we talked about Sweet Tooth for like 2-3 weeks and then we were done. And we haven't talked about like we do weekly succession with like a Disney Plus show. But now we're talking about Squid Games, and I feel like that's going to happen for 2-3 weeks, and then they're going to drop another dope show, and that's what we're going to talk about.
And I can't keep up, so I just don't care. I just never watch any of them, and then I miss out unless it's something like gigantic that you can't avoid, like Stranger Things, which I really like.
I do like the you know, the old like, hey, let's talk about a show each week, but it misses something too when Lost came out. There wasn't a lot of like DVR still or anything like that. It was you had to be sitting in your house at whenever it came out Wednesday night at 8:00 or 9:00. I don't even remember. And if you missed it, you had to then maybe watch it on the rewind the next 2 days, and then you missed stuff.
You know what's so funny is I was just talking with my partner about Hulu, like which came first, Netflix or Hulu. And there was this little bit of time that I remember when Hulu first came out and I didn't have cable. And I ended up watching all of Lost on Hulu right before the last episode came out. And like basically binge watched all of Lost on Hulu. And that was like when Hulu first started and before Netflix was how we see it now, where it was basically like you rent a DVD in the mail.
I love that.
I just learned my dad still does that, by the way. My dad and my stepmom, they both
do they live in a rural area?
They do, but they have internet. They have all the streaming stuff. They could watch it on streaming. They just get the DVDs.
I mean,
which I didn't know they still even did.
There's something about that though. I don't know if it was on Netflix or Hulu, and we are going down a huge rabbit hole tangent.
Sorry, everyone.
That's okay.
But I watched the Last Standing Blockbuster Store documentary.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, I enjoyed getting to go to the store. And I remember like I had the Blockbuster pass where I could rent DVDs from them and they'd ship them in the mail like Netflix did, and how they kind of were like, I was like, why would I want to get Netflix? I can go to Blockbuster, I can get the DVDs sent to me, and if I don't, you know, I can return them then to the store and I can get something else in return at the store. I don't have to wait for Netflix. And it's funny how like Netflix navigated that, you know, transition and became the smart service, and everyone's like, oh, you guys remember Blockbuster?
And apparently Blockbuster was offered to buy Netflix.
They did
originally,
and they
turned it down. Yep. If you ever end up coming out here to Portland, the last Blockbuster is in Bend, Oregon. I mean, it's a couple hours away, but
will, if I ever go out to Oregon, I'm going to make a trek to Blockbuster because Stances is right. There's something, as much as I love the convenience of Netflix and Amazon Prime and HBO Max and not having to go to a theater right now to watch a movie. I love that. I am a hermit. I love it. I'm fine with it. But dag nabbit, there was something great about walking to a Blockbuster on a Friday night and like, what movie do I want to watch? Oh, let's get the bucket of popcorn that will pop up so it'll look like it's movie theater popcorn.
Some candy
and like, and if it sucks, but you're gonna watch it because you paid for it. And
or your dad paid for it if you're a little guy.
well, not all of us are mooches, so okay.
Well, I was like 7, you know, like
Yeah, Mooch
I
would
didn't
get
have
a
a
when
job.
Blockbuster ended.
get a job. No, I wasn't 7, but I mean, video stores died out like right when I got out of high school, so like it was like right at the right teenage years.
When I was in college, I was like, I gotta apply for a job to make money. I applied for a job at Blockbuster, and I didn't get it. I wasn't qualified enough to work at a Blockbuster, apparently.
When I was 18, I walked from my house on my 18th birthday. I walked from my house to the local video store, Hollywood Video. I didn't go to Blockbuster, but I walked to Hollywood Video like a kid signing up for the Air Force or whatever. And like I walked there and applied for my first job at 18 at the video store, and they were just like, "No, thanks."
Wow.
So we both got
some
shut
pretty high
down from the video
standards.
store.
Yep.
That's
Like
like
I'm here every week. I know everything about movies.
It was like
They didn't
literally,
want me.
gang. I can be such an asset, but you didn't ask me my knowledge of movies on the
Right?
application form.
Pass. What other jobs have you ever had? It's like, no, I've never had a job. It's my first job. Like, oh, goodbye.
Hi.
I also
We need to
like
pay you
how I
minimum
applied to
wage.
the bougie store, and Ryan applied to he applied to the off-brand. I was like,
Blockbuster sucked. Like, if I'm gonna be honest, like I went to Blockbuster and I didn't enjoy it. Like, I was Hollywood Video all day.
Wow.
But that's just me.
Y'all need to
I
fight.
was applying to like Coke and Pepsi, and Ryan was applying to RC Cola.
Walmart brand Coke, great value.
I
soda.
was like, I want a job at Dr. Pepper, and Ryan's like, I want a job at Dr. Thunder.
That's the real place.
Wow. Were there? Oh, I was gonna say, were there any last books that we were planning on talking about this week?
Oh,
Do we do
last
this each
books?
Ooh.
Was that well done? Was that timed correctly? We had another book, but like we've
We
gone
did.
way over.
Yeah.
And I'm running
I
on my
don't care.
laptop battery here, so
Oh.
let me see. I have 51%. Okay, we're
Oh,
good.
you're
Oh, you're
good.
fine.
We could go for a whole nother hour and a half. Strap in.
Buckle up, gang.
I didn't get this book this week.
What?
And I'm really sad because I also didn't get the naughty cover, so I don't know what it looks like. Is it real naughty this week? Oh man.
Yeah, I can show you. I can show you after.
Yeah.
Show us after.
Okay,
because here's-
kids, close
Or
your
I can
eyes.
show you. Or I can show you right now.
No,
Get-
please don't.
Get you demonetized. You're not even
Yeah.
monetized. But
I'm not even monetized yet.
I'll
Yeah.
make sure
no.
you don't get demonetized.
YouTube is watching
here's
right
what's so
now. This is
funny
my
about this
application.
book. I clearly remember we reviewed issue 1 on this show at some point, and you guys were like, "Oh, we have the naughty covers," and I was like, "Why are there naughty covers for this book?" Because there wasn't anything like really sexually or inappropriate in issue 1, and then issue 2 kind of was like, "Hey, we're gonna dip our toe into it," and then issue 3, spoiler alert.
Woo!
There's like freaking naked zombies running around killing people in this, and I'm just like, oh, they're just hanging dong and
Lots of flopping all over the
like,
place.
just all
A lot of them
over.
are fat too. Did you notice that? Like, there's all
Yeah,
kinds of flopping.
They were
Oh.
not body shaming anybody in this
No.
because they're just like
Equal
any
opportunity
shape or creed, it doesn't matter. But
Okay,
I
but
mean,
really quick, is that the theme of the variant cover?
No.
I don't
Okay.
know. I did not buy the naughty cover.
Let me double check. But no, I don't think any of them were zombies.
Ryan's
Make
like,
sure-
let me double check the naughty version
Let me just say this,
for
Jennifer.
science.
Jennifer, you haven't read this book. I will say
No.
this. There probably isn't. I'm looking at this page. There probably are about 4 pages that I can actually show you on screen. That just shows you
Okay.
where they ramped it up to.
Okay. So apparently I need to go and buy this book tomorrow.
I mean, I didn't
Tonight.
love it,
Right now.
Okay, right now. Bye guys.
but if you want, if you want, like, think Walking
No
Dead.
zombies.
Think like a knockoff, like Walking Dead porn.
Walking
Like,
dong.
Yeah,
Donking
Walking Dong.
Dead?
No, you had it
Wanking
right.
Dead?
You had it right the
Wanking
first
Dead.
time.
I'm gonna go with Wanking
Or
Dead.
maybe that.
So think of like,
Donking Dead.
like, hey, let's make a knockoff like C-list porn movie of like The Walking Dead. That's what this book decided to do.
It got weird.
Wow.
I still
It
like
did.
it.
It got really weird real quick.
the show got real weird real quick. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, this show has been weird.
And this is why we saved the last book for the end.
Sorry for the annoying boat sounds that are coming from the other side of this garage door here.
Oh
Do you have a
wow.
boat?
It sounds
They-
like a freaking a boat, but I work next to a mechanic.
Oh, I didn't know if like that's how comics got delivered now by
We
boat.
get a lot of
That's-
comics.
This,
actually
this
on
is
the
why
stage.
Ryan's books were all dinged because the waves were knocking off the random house. Like they're bougie over there.
Yeah. Whew.
This honestly, like this issue felt like a lot trying to do a lot of shock value, and there wasn't a lot of substance to this book. If I'm being honest,
This
it
sounds
was
like they should have done that issue 1.
it was a lot of fighting, and that's literally is what it is. Is the everyone on the RV is fighting naked zombies, and if that's your thing, like it's there, but it felt like Batman issue 114 with just a lot more naked people fighting.
I need to read the 2 and compare them.
A lot more naked. Batman only had a few
Okay.
flaccid penises, but this book has quite a bit more.
Okay.
I like this comic, but I feel like it's going to make a lot more. I hope it's going to make a lot more sense and feel more complete when it's all done.
Yes.
I want to read the whole thing all at once, and I'm hoping the ending kind of gets more into the supernatural reasoning behind this book that's making everyone go crazy. Because right now it's just Stephen King's Cell, which is my least favorite Stephen King book ever. And
The worst movie ever.
I didn't see the movie, but yeah, the book was pretty damn bad. And unless I'm hoping this book will go somewhere similar if we don't get like another layer of the onion peeled back and explained exactly how this, is she aware that her book is doing this? Is she intending for this to happen? Right?
Yeah.
Like I want that stuff. I don't want necessarily to see people shooting naked zombies.
No.
Unless they have tentacles.
So we know what Ryan likes.
There was a
That's what I'm
theme.
doing when the show's ending.
This has been a very revealing show.
Yes.
Well, we normally do the interior artwork of the week, the cover artwork of the week. Anyone ready? Anyone ready for it?
Yeah,
I guess.
go for it, Ryan.
Let Greg go.
No, go for it.
So what are we doing? Cover first? That's the one
Cover interior artwork.
I'm not really like blown away by any of the covers I have here, except for like maybe this naked cover, but like that's just because it's nasty.
Oh,
But like
can't show that
glass.
cover. Mama.
yeah, my mom will get mad at me.
It'll be demonetized.
Maybe this Batman variant, I guess. Like,
Wow.
I'm not like blown away by, and I also brought Swamp because I thought we might be talking about that, and I forgot.
Okay.
So that one's okay. Pass on cover.
Okay, but then what was your interior artwork of the week?
I feel like I pick Batman every week. Batman comes out, so I'll say Nice House in the Lake. That's an easy one.
Okay.
I love what he's doing with the art in that book.
No challenge there.
No, I'm not a challenging person. I'm just a mooch.
You are a mooch.
So I think that this one's pretty tough because there were a lot of books that I did like this week, but I think that my favorite variant. Sorry, let me do this. My favorite cover of the week is this one for Dark Ages that has full steampunk X-23 Wolverine. I really like that one. That was my cover. I didn't really get too many variant covers this week. And then my interior artwork for the week was Arkham City, Order of the World, because I really like Danny's artwork in it.
I didn't realize this was different than the normal X-23. I don't read a lot of stuff with her in it, but I see it now that you mentioned steampunk.
Well, yeah, because like that's the whole like kind of thing with Dark Ages, I guess, is that like
I just thought it was X-23 on the cover. I didn't realize it was any different version of her. It's cool.
Okay. Greg, what was yours? What was your cover interior?
So I'm just gonna say like my interior is gonna just be like it. I feel like Dark Ages was the best interior that I read. Like there wasn't. I feel like usually one blows me away, but that it's the same panel I showed last time, so you don't have to worry.
Okay.
Like I like the artwork in this. It was my favorite of it, but I wouldn't ever put it as like the best artwork. This is Ivan Coella. Did the color artist is Brian Reber. It was fine. I didn't. Again, it was fine. There wasn't anything that blew me away.
Wow.
I would say my cover of the week is the variant I picked up for Amazing Spider-Man 75, the Patrick Gleason cover.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and it says Amazing Spider-Man in the webs, which I thought was pretty cool.
I didn't even notice that.
See, you don't notice it, you do notice it.
Okay, but now I am gonna blow. Okay, so solo layout. Oh wow, yeah, I would have never caught that.
So I like that. I didn't get any of the other Patrick Gleason ones that came out like at Christmas time, because I was on vacation, so I missed them. But yeah, that would be my cover of the week.
Alrighty, what was everyone's book of the week? Any that we didn't like already mention, or is it pretty much sticking to what we read?
I'm gonna stick with my favorite book of the week was Chicken Devil.
Okay.
I that Dark Ages was up there, but I think Chicken Devil I was more intrigued than the others.
Yeah.
For me, it's Out or Nice House in the Lake. No surprise. Chicken Devil was really damn cool though.
Right.
My book of the week was this one called Dirtbag Rapture. It was really weird, and it's like Beetlejuice meets I don't know what else it meets, but it's basically like this girl who I don't know if she dies or just has like a near-death experience, but she ends up being able to carry the souls of dead people places. So like if someone died somewhere and they're like, well, shit, I want to go back to my hometown, they go through her and she like travels with them there. But she charges them a price. Sometimes like it's extorting their partner in life. And then she meets someone and there's a spoiler at the end, and it was really fun. And she's a dirtbag. She like does cocaine and stuff. So maybe like Scumbag meets Beetlejuice.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I do love cocaine, so that's a plus.
Yeah.
We've learned that this night.
Yes, we've learned lots.
So much about Ryan.
Woohoo!
Tentacles, cocaine.
That's a great party right there.
Oh.
He's a mooch.
Not paying for those blockbuster
right?
late fees.
Not paying for the cocaine. It's all tied together.
Well, that's pretty much everything I have to talk about tonight. Anything else you guys want to talk about? We ended at an hour and a half, which lately we've been going a little bit later than that.
I thought this one would last a lot longer based on the crazy amount of tangents we had.
Yeah.
Well, I felt like we spent a lot of time on tangents, and we're like, "Oh, this was a good read," and we did not dig deep.
Yeah, that is also true.
Yes, but that's fine. It's comic talk, not necessarily comic books.
Jen, I got a book that just came in, and I'm ready for book club.
Which one did you get? Did you get Razzle or did you get Hoxpox? Let's do it. Yep.
Razzle dazzle.
Razzle dazzle. I think I have 2 copies of that book because they came out in like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I have that hardcover version as well.
Yeah. And
Excellent.
I know Scott's ready for a Razzle book club, so
yeah. Yep. Let's do it.
more tangents. I don't know if I have
tangents.
more of a tangent.
Is anyone else watching Why the Last Man? I feel like I really
haven't
liked
started
it.
yet.
It started strong, and then by episode 3, I'm now watching Squid Games, and I'm now rewatching
I think you should
Deep
leave.
Space Nine. I think you should leave. Those are like my shows.
Watch
I
that
need to
like 10
watch
times.
that. I need to watch that. I will. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't watched Why the Last Man. I need to. I will say this. Y'all need to be reading Batman Adventures. This continues to be one of my favorite Batman books out there. It's individual stories, so it's not like much there. And you can just pick it up anywhere, but like the old Batman animated series comics, and I thought these were great. So I don't think enough people are. Firepower it's the same thing it's been. Did you guys read Amazing Spider-Man?
I did. We got
All
all
right.
of our copies damaged, so I read one of the damaged ones at the shop.
What did you think about it, Ryan? This is my tangent. I want to know.
As somebody who read the entire Nick Spencer run, I actually was surprised at how much I didn't hate this book.
Yeah.
Also, as somebody who doesn't know the first thing about Ben Reilly or any of
Right.
the clone stuff, I don't know anything about any of that. But I did not hate this comic. Like I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting, but this restored a lot of. For example, early on in Nick Spencer's run, there was a story about him going to college and Doc Connors being his teacher, but like stuck as the Lizard. Like the Lizard was his teacher. And Nick Spencer just kind of dropped that and never really addressed it again. And this new issue did a lot of kind of resetting stuff like that. And it was like, hey, remember that he was actually like a college student and not just fighting Kindred for 50 issues?
Right.
Like it was a nice kind of like slow down, which I appreciated.
I was very confused. I read Sinister War, as this panel knows and the chat knows. I didn't
How
read
was it?
any other Spider-Man book. I was very confused with what was going on in this. And I felt like I missed a lot of stuff not reading the Nick Spencer. But I feel like the Ben Reilly just showed up storyline, and did it just show up in it? I guess.
I have
I see the most recent comment in the chat. I kind of agree with. The Nick Spencer run of Spider-Man does get a lot of hate, but I do think there were good moments in there that got ignored or overshadowed by all of the negative.
I just didn't read it. So
yeah, there was a lot of humor in there. There was a lot of heart, especially earlier on, that got kind of lost in the shuffle near the end when. I think when he realized the run was wrapping up, he kind of just stepped on the gas, and that's when like Sinister War happened and all this like supervillain stuff. Just it got a little messy near the end.
I hadn't read very much Spider-Man books either. Like John said, I did read the J.J. Abrams, and I did not like the J.J. Abrams. I read Sinister War, and I picked this up. And the idea of this story basically is there's this company called Beyond something.
I think it's Just Beyond, right?
Just Beyond. And it's a corporation that basically has bought out the rights of the name Spider-Man, copyright Spider-Man, somehow through like a corporation. I guess there was a Parker Corporation that had the rights or something in the Nick Spencer run.
That was way before. That was like 2014 or something.
Okay.
That's old. And
this corporation bought out the rights, and now they want to basically pay and own a Spider-Man. And so they're, spoiler alert, paying Ben Reilly to be Spider-Man and be like a corporate Spider-Man for them. And Peter Parker Spider-Man is trying to still be Spider-Man, but he doesn't have the tech that this company is giving Ben Reilly. So I'm intrigued. I will see where it goes. I don't know if I'm sold yet, but I'm intrigued.
I'm also intrigued, but I did not put this back on my pull list. I think that's like the ultimate test for me is like, do I like it enough to like want to get it every single time? And it's now coming out 3 out of 4 weeks, which is
it said
too fast.
It said we'll see you next week.
It's so fast. I'm not gonna do that. That's gonna fill up like a whole box in my living room in like
a month. I
I
don't hate that though, because I liked it when Heroes Reborn did that, where they did their event series each week, because I feel like there's for certain books I feel like it's appropriate because you need to know what's going on and you need to have that like, hey, I don't remember. I read it a month ago and I read 45 other issues in between this month. So like, but I don't know if Spider-Man is the one that needs to do that for me.
For Heroes Reborn, I liked it because, or I appreciated it. I don't want to ever say I liked Heroes Reborn, but I appreciated the weekly thing because I knew it was only going to be 7-8 issues.
Right.
Yeah, and then I don't know. It's like too fast for me. It's too much money.
Too fast, too furious.
Yeah. But it wasn't bad. I was expecting to dislike it a lot more than I did.
There you go.
Well, that was like a pretty nice comic tangent. Normally the tangents are like a way more out there tangent.
Like hentai.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
No idea.
I'm just kidding.
Homegrown
any
Simpsons stuff.
Homegrown Simpsons stuff.
I'm so proud of how many references I've managed to cram into a hour and a half. Sorry.
Yeah.
You crammed a lot in.
Yeah.
Just like your tentacles.
Ooh.
Good God. Jen should really be proud because it's all because of her.
I think you should leave. Not the tentacle stuff, folks.
The tentacle stuff. It's all because of Jen.
Everyone needs to watch the show. I think you should leave on Netflix. It's the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life.
And there are no tentacles.
And there are no tentacles, sadly, in it yet.
A lot of poop jokes.
Yet.
Yeah.
But Glenn from The Walking Dead is in it. Briefly.
Yeah, that's true. In one episode. 2?
I only saw him in 1. Whatever. It's fun time.
No, we definitely didn't talk about Rob Liefeld tonight.
No.
Sorry.
Yet. No.
We did talk about feet.
Which is why we did not talk about Rob Liefeld.
Is Rob Liefeld doing something new? Is that what's going on?
Apparently, Prophet. I don't know. I
don't know.
I didn't read it. It's not on my radar.
There are no words to describe how little I care about any of that.
Wow. So basically, how I feel about Rick Remender.
Sure.
Yeah.
Whew. Well, if that's all the tangents everyone wants to go on, any other books anyone wants to talk about? Bearded, do you have anything coming up on your show or that you're doing?
What do I have? So I just dropped tonight an episode of Name That Character with the missus, as I do every Friday night. Monday, I have an interview with Elisa Wiki, who did the art on a Kickstarter called Cobblestone Chronicles, which I did the interview with the writer, David Barron, who is a colorist for DC. So he did all the coloring for like Batman, Detective Comics, Batman Who Laughs series, all that stuff.
Wow, busy dude. And so he did a Kickstarter, and I have now she's coming on for that. I've got a couple big guests coming up here sooner than later. I'm trying to confirm some stuff, but so that'll be fun. Wednesday I'll do my typical whatever I feel like creating content of. So it might be Batman keys, it might be spec books, it might be cooking, it might be drinking, who knows. I want to see you do a chicken devil cooking show.
We will do a hot chicken. I will do a hot chicken recipe. I will do a hot chicken sandwich recipe. I will make it up at some point, and I will do that for the show because I did a Popeyes. I've crafted a homemade Popeyes spicy chicken sandwich, which I feel like I could use similar tactics for this one, but I got to figure out what that comeback sauce is.
Yeah.
So hungry.
Yeah, I definitely want Popeyes after talking about chicken.
Right? It's because it's the best.
Ryan, do you have anything else? I know you don't do too much on your YouTube, but you've been going live on Instagram.
I have. Every Wednesday I go live on my Instagram showing off my books. Mm-hmm. I am working on, I just need to find the time to sit down and record it, but I am going to try and do a video of my top 5 comics from September.
Ooh.
I want to do it before it gets too much farther into October.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, I just need to like pull the plug and just wait till next month. But I'm gonna try and do that.
That's always like the balance. It's like you want to make sure that you read all the books for September before calling it, but then it's like finding the time to go ahead and do it as well.
I got them picked already, so I'm just waiting for a moment to sit down and record it, and I gotta figure out an editing software and do all that. But
well, what the fuck are you doing here, dude?
Right.
Working.
Seriously.
Working.
That's why I'm working and going live.
I appreciate it. I think that everyone in the chat also appreciated your bagging and boarding skills.
They were impressed.
Skills?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Something.
Bearded just dropped the link to his channel, so everyone please go and follow there. How many do you think that you've done so far? How many think that you can do in like a given time?
I've never actually timed it, but
Mhm.
I'm actually on the last 2 boards that I have with me right now, so I'm about to be done.
Travis is right there behind me. I was dropping
Wow.
Ryan's link then too, and so
Nice.
Oh,
I'm not
love
gonna drop your link, Jennifer, because they're here.
we're already
I
here.
actually
And Travis
did,
now just dropped Ryan's link too. So
There you
again,
go.
I did
go
not
follow
realize
Brian.
until tonight that I was not subscribed to Jennifer until this video.
Oh, I got a new
Yeah.
follower. That
So,
is excellent.
Wow.
There you go.
What
I'm a
a
bad
jerk.
friend. I've been subscribed to Greg forever, and Will, and yeah,
Wow.
just
So
everybody.
what's funny is we're like, oh, we should switch up each other's channels who hosts it so we can get new subs for it. I didn't realize the subs were going to come from panel members who aren't subscribed to each
Yeah,
other.
right.
Ryan will break your heart, I guess.
Aw.
Story of my life.
Well, everyone, I hope everyone has a wonderful night. I hope you all get some like good chicken. And if you didn't already know, you're probably here, so you probably know Mars and I, my co-host, who's not here, but her and I normally go live on Sunday mornings and bullshit about comics and try to start beef with people. And there you go. Alrighty.
And I'm gonna do something with Mars soon because we're gonna be in
In
Comic-Con together.
Baltimore. That is so cool. I'm very jealous. Excellent. Well, everyone, I hope everyone has a fantabulous, beautiful, wonderful Friday night, and see you later. Bye.
Bye.